Good evening. Join me in giving another round of applause to Outer National and Jill Solbuel. Just a reminder for all of you who are enjoying the music this evening, you can purchase CDs and T-shirts for Outer National here in the area towards the doorway of the hall. You can also get posters of tonight's historic awards ceremony on your way out of the building, so please make sure you check that out on your way out this evening. It is my incredible honor and privilege to be a member of the committee that helped select this evening's Freedom from Fear awardees. And it is an even greater privilege to be able to present one of this evening's awards to someone that I consider a personal friend and a hero. I hail from Phoenix, Arizona. I was born and raised in Arizona. And while all of you know my state because of SB 1070, it wasn't always like that. For years, Arizona has been an independent, feisty state, but only in recent years have the powers of extremism overpowered the voice of reason in our state to pass bills like SB 1070. And while many in the national media hear only about the voices of extremism and rigid ideology and anti-immigrant rhetoric, you often don't hear about the profiles and courage of individuals who stake their reputation, their career, and sometimes even risking their livelihood in order to stand up for what is right in the face of overpowering strength and even hatred. One of tonight's awardees is former Chief of Police Jack Harris. Jack Harris is almost an Arizona native. His family moved to Phoenix when he was just 2 years old. And after growing up in the great metropolis of Phoenix, Jack Harris started a 39-year career in public service. For the last 7 years, he served as the Chief of Police for the city of Phoenix, the 5th largest city in the country. During that time, Jack Harris presided over an unprecedented reduction in crime and increased safety in our community. Unfortunately, in the last 5 to 7 years, he also presided over the police team during a time of unprecedented pressure from elected officials and extremists to crack down on innocent, law-abiding individuals in the city of Phoenix. Long before the passage of SB 1070, public pressure was growing by ideological extremists at the Arizona State Legislature to force community officers to engage in racial profiling and to endanger the safety and the trust of its citizens. Chief Harris led the effort in fighting back against those pressures, refusing to engage in racial profiling and staying committed to community policing, where officers had formal and informal relationships with individuals in their communities to keep those communities safe and healthy. With the passage of SB 1070, Arizona solidified its position as ground zero in the national struggle for immigration reform. Very few people in Arizona had the courage or the will to stand up against SB 1070. Police Chief Jack Harris was one of those who stood strong, stood early, and stood consistently against this misguided policy that does nothing to keep our community safe, and in Jack's words, makes it more difficult for individuals to report either instances of criminal activity or individuals who are victims or witnesses of crime to cooperate with police. Chief Jack Harris was a stalwart and a strong voice against the passage of SB 1070. And for this, many elected officials and unelected officials in the state of Arizona sought to endanger his position and his livelihood. This summer, Chief Harris retired after 39 years of public service in Arizona and 7 years as the Chief of Police in Phoenix. And while he is retired, his legacy will continue to live on as a strong, brave, and unafraid voice in the face of extremist ideology. Jack continues to stand strong for the right of individuals in our state to live safely and peacefully, free from harassment, because of immigration ideology. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Chief Jack Harris.
Good evening. Thank you, Kyrsten, for those very kind words. I very much appreciate it. A wise man once said, "It's not hard to do the right thing. It's hard to know what the right thing is. And once you know what the right thing is, it's hard not to do it." For police officers, the right thing has always been to make our community safe. Community safety and helping people should be law enforcement's #1 priority. Community safety is in part accomplished by putting those who prey on victims in jail. As the former police chief of the 5th largest city in our country, I directed my 3,500 police officers to go after murderers, rapists, and thieves. I also asked them to help people and ultimately to make our community safe. Recently in this country, it has become politically popular to blame immigrants for all of the ills that people perceive to be happening in our country, and to attempt to force local law enforcement officers to divert their precious resources away from traditional crime-fighting strategies and concentrate instead on routine immigration enforcement. Individual state legislatures are attempting to do this by passing laws like Arizona's 1070. I refuse to do it. Simply because it was not the right thing to do. Over the last several years, Phoenix police officers arrested on average over 46,000 people a year that commit serious crimes. It is not prudent to divert those officers away from protecting their communities to chase immigrants back and forth across the border. The answer to the immigration issue lies in Washington, D.C., in the form of national immigration reform. I believe Congress will resolve the immigration issue at some point. But until then, I told my officers to treat people fairly and humanely. In the end, the issue will be resolved, but people will always remember, above all else, how they were treated by you. Martin Luther King said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." I am honored tonight to stand here with my fellow recipients who I believe in all of their efforts have lived up to Dr. King's words. Thank you.